He walked into the school with a quiet smile. But the moment the bully's boots slammed into his chest, everyone realized something terrifying. This new principal wasn't who they thought he was. If you love your mom and dad, hit that subscribe button and show some. Morning sun hovered lazily above Westwood High, casting long golden stripes across the cracked concrete pathways as students hustled through the gates, chattering, arguing, laughing, and living in their own rowdy world. It was the first day of the new semester, and the rumors had already spread like wildfire. A new principal was taking charge. No one knew his background, his style, or his reputation, only that he was quiet. And at Westwood High, quiet was as good as weak. Mark Turner, the school's most feared bully, took that as an open invitation. Mark, with shoulders broad as a linebacker and a reputation black as tar, had ruled the school halls for years. Teachers avoided him, students feared him, and even the old principal had transferred out after one too many confrontations. But today was supposed to be different. Today, someone new was coming. Someone quiet. Principal Ethan Hale stepped inside the school building with a calm stride, his brown leather shoes tapping softly against the waxed floor. He looked nothing like what Westwood expected. No stern eyebrows, no booming voice, no stiff walk. Just a gentle expression and a sharp, observant pair of hazel eyes. He was tall, but not intimidating. Thin, but not fragile. Kind, but not soft. The staff greeted him nervously, assessing every detail of his posture and attire, trying to decide whether he would survive this place or crumble like the last one. But Ethan simply nodded, offering a polite smile before heading toward his office. What no one knew, not the teachers, not the students, and certainly not Mark, was that Ethan Hale was no ordinary principal. He carried a past wrapped in secrets, a history he never spoke about. Beneath that quiet demeanor was a storm waiting to be released. The first confrontation happened during third period. Smirked. "Hey, new guy!" he shouted, voice echoing off the metal walls. The hallway fell silent. Ethan turned, calm as a still lake. "Yes?" he replied gently. Mark grinned as he strutted forward. "You must be the new principal. I just wanted to give you a proper Westwood welcome." Before anyone could blink, Mark shoved Ethan hard against the lockers. A few teachers gasped but froze, terrified to intervene. The students stood motionless, eyes widened. Ethan steadied himself, brushed off his coat, and looked up, not angrily, not scared, but disappointed. "Is that how you greet people here?" he asked softly. The calmness unnerved Mark. Bullies thrive on fear, but fear was nowhere in Ethan's eyes. Only control, and that made Mark furious. "I said welcome." Mark roared and kicked Ethan sharply in the stomach, sending him stumbling against the lockers. Gasps filled the hallway as Ethan bent slightly, gripping the locker door for support. A few students looked away, expecting the new principal to crumble, maybe even quit on the spot. But then it happened. Something no one expected. Ethan straightened up slowly, cracked his neck lightly, and stared at Mark with eyes that suddenly felt older, sharper, and colder. A chill ran through the hallway like a gust of winter. Ethan spoke in a low voice that somehow cut through the silence like a blade. "Mark Turner, I know exactly who you are." Mark blinked, taken aback. "What? I've read your files. Every fight. Every suspension, every complaint." His voice deepened, still calm, but layered with authority no one saw coming. "But what I want to know is why someone like you feels the need to hurt others just to feel seen." The hallway felt like it shouldn't anymore. "Who do you think you are? Some kind of hero?" Ethan stepped forward. One step, two steps, each one deliberate, each one controlled. "No," he said quietly. But I know the type of people you become if no one stops you. I've seen it before, and I'm not letting it happen again." Mark flinched. Something in Ethan's voice hit differently, like he wasn't speaking to a student, but to a ghost from his own past. Rumors spread instantly. Some said the new principal used to be in the military. Others said he was an ex-FBI negotiator. A few whispered he once ran a rehabilitation center for violent teens, but no one knew the truth. And the truth was darker than they imagined. The next day, Mark was itching to reassert his dominance. He recruited 3 seniors to corner Ethan behind the gym. "Let's see how quiet he stays today," Mark sneered. But when they arrived, Ethan was already there, as if he knew they were coming. "Gentlemen," he greeted calmly. "Thought I'd save you the trouble." The 3 seniors hesitated. Mark didn't. "You think you can outsmart me?" he spat. "No." Ethan stepped closer. "I already have." Before they could react, Ethan pressed a button on a small device in his pocket. A security system activated. High-resolution cameras hidden throughout the campus turned toward their direction. "Everything you do from this point," Ethan said, "is being recorded. And not the way you're used to. This isn't Westwood's old system. This is federal-level documentation. Evidence. Traceable. Permanent." Mark froze. This was no normal principal. "You're lying," Mark tried to bluff. Ethan held up a small ID badge, one he had kept tucked away until now. "Before this," Ethan said softly, "I was part of a federal behavioral analysis program that rehabilitated violent youth offenders before they crossed the line into full criminality. Kids just like you." The air thickened. Mark's face paled. Ethan continued, voice calm but lethal. "I've profiled over 300 teenagers who followed the same patterns you're following now. Do you want to know how many ended up in prison?" Mark swallowed hard. "Do you want to know how many never made it past 25? Ethan whispered. The silence that followed felt like the world had stopped spinning. Mark's facade cracked. For the first time, he wasn't facing a teacher. He was facing someone who had seen the worst outcomes of the road he was walking and wasn't afraid of him. Over the next week, Ethan didn't punish Mark the way old principals did. He didn't suspend him. He didn't yell. Instead, he started showing up everywhere Mark went. Calm, observant, relentless. When Mark slammed a locker shut on a freshman's hand, Ethan was there before he walked away. "Why did that make you feel stronger?" Ethan asked. When Mark skipped class, Ethan already had the security feed ready. "Why are you sabotaging a future you haven't even tried to build?" When Mark shoved a kid in the cafeteria, Ethan stepped between them without raising his voice. "Hugh, who shoved you first all those years ago?" Mark snapped one day. "Stop psychoanalyzing me." But Ethan just looked at him with heartbreaking understanding. "I'm not analyzing you, Mark," he whispered. "I'm trying to save you." And that was when Mark's world began to crack open, because no one had ever tried to save him. No one had ever cared enough to look deeper. Behind every act of violence, Ethan saw a layer Mark himself had buried: fear, abandonment, trauma, and the desperate need to feel in control of something, anything. The biggest twist came during the school assembly 2 weeks later. Ethan walked onto the stage, the spotlight highlighting his calm face. Students expected a boring speech about rules and policies. Instead, he said, "Today, I want to introduce someone." The crowd murmured. Ethan gestured toward the side entrance. Mark Turner walked in. The entire school gasped. Ethan placed a firm hand on his shoulder. "Mark and I have been talking. He has agreed to start a leadership program with me, helping students who feel unheard, unseen, or struggling the same way he once did." Teachers were shocked. Students whispered wildly. Mark looked nervous, but different. Smaller ego, bigger heart. But just when everyone thought the story of redemption was complete, the true twist arrived. 2 days later, Mark approached Ethan after school. "Why me?" he asked quietly. "Why do you care so much?" Ethan hesitated for the first time. Then he answered softly, words heavy with a past he never shared. "Because someone like you once saved me." Mark frowned. "Who?" Ethan looked out the window, eyes distant. "A principal who refused to give up on a kid everyone else labeled a lost cause." The realization hit Mark like a tidal wave. Ethan wasn't trying to fix him. He was honoring a promise made to someone who gave him a second chance long ago, and that was the change no one, not even Mark, had been aware of. The story didn't end with victory. It continued with slow healing, difficult conversations, and small victories that built trust, brick by brick. But one thing became undeniable. The bully who once ruled the school now walked its halls with purpose instead of power. And the quiet principal no one took seriously became the strongest force Westwood High had ever known. Not through fear, but through understanding. And that changed everything. Now tell me, viewers, from which part of the country are you watching this video? The change in Mark Turner didn't go unnoticed. Students whispered, teachers exchanged confused glances, and for the first time in years, Westwood High walked its hallways without flinching at the sound of Mark's footsteps. But change, real change, never comes without resistance. And hidden in the shadow of Mark's transformation was someone who hated it. Someone who needed Mark to stay the monster he once was. His name was Tyler Briggs, Mark's old right-hand man, the one who wasn't feared, but invisible. Tyler had always lived in Mark's shadow, relying on his dominance to feel important. But now that Mark was softening, apologizing, even helping others, Tyler felt abandoned, exposed, and powerless. And powerless people do dangerous things. The storm began quietly. Tyler started spreading rumors around school. Mark's becoming the principal's pet. He's weak now. He's scared of Ethan Hale. But the rumors didn't stop Mark, because something surprising was happening. People were beginning to respect him, not fear. Respect. A few freshmen even sat with him at lunch. A girl from his math class thanked him for standing up to a senior who'd stolen her homework. Mark didn't know how to handle it. These moments felt foreign, but warm. It was like discovering a part of himself he never believed existed, and that terrified Tyler, because the higher Mark rose, the smaller Tyler became. One Friday afternoon, everything reached a breaking point. Ethan Hale was hosting a small meeting in his office, a gathering of troubled students, a beginning to the leadership program he wanted Mark to help build. Mark sat nearby, hands clasped, trying to find courage in silence. He wasn't used to being in a room where people looked at him with hope instead of fear. But Tyler was watching from outside. His jaw clenched, his fists trembled. He felt betrayed. After the meeting, Tyler blocked Mark at the hallway corner. "What are you doing, man?" Tyler snapped. "This isn't you." Mark sighed. Calm. "It's who I'm trying to be, Ty." "Trying to be? You're nothing without fear. People only listen to us because they were scared. Don't you get it?" Mark shook his head. Fear isn't respect. Tyler stepped closer, voice cracking with rage. "You're replacing me with him, with that quiet freak of a principal." Mark took a breath. "Ethan's not a freak. He's—" A punch slammed into Mark's jaw. The hallway froze. Mark didn't fight back, because he recognized something he had never seen in Tyler before: pain. Ethan Hale appeared seconds later. But instead of yelling, instead of punishing, he merely looked between both boys. And what he did next shocked the entire school. "Tyler," he said gently, "come with me." Tyler blinked. "What?" "We need to talk," Ethan said. "All three of us." But Tyler wasn't ready. He spat on the floor, shoved past Ethan, and stormed out the exit doors. And that moment, Ethan knew, was the ignition of something darker. That night, the school alarm system triggered. By the time Ethan arrived, the gym was flooded with graffiti, slurs, threats, curses carved into the walls, all signed with one name, Ostetichi Woseti, TB. Teachers panicked. Students whispered. The district demanded immediate suspension, but Ethan refused. Tyler isn't beyond saving, Ethan told them. He's a child reacting from fear, not malice. The board disagreed. They issued an order. Tyler Briggs was to be expelled permanently. But what the board didn't know was that Tyler had gone missing. Neither his mother nor the police could find him. Westwood High felt like it was holding its breath. And through all of it, Mark felt something he never expected: guilt. Because while Tyler had followed him blindly for years, Mark had never once asked him why he acted the way he did. Mark went straight to Ethan. "It's my fault," he said quietly. "If I didn't change, he wouldn't be like this." Ethan placed a steady hand on Mark's shoulder. "Growth doesn't destroy people, Mark. It reveals who they already were." "But he needs help," Mark whispered. "Yes," Ethan said, "and we're going to find him." That night, under the cold glow of the streetlights, Ethan and Mark searched the old abandoned train yard, Tyler's childhood hiding place. They found him sitting alone on a rusted rail, shoulders shaking. He looked nothing like a bully. He looked like a broken kid. Mark approached slowly. Why'd you run?" Tyler wiped his eyes. "You replaced me. You found someone better, someone who made you forget who we were." Mark shook his head. "I didn't replace you. I found out I didn't have to be that person anymore. I don't know how to be anything else," Tyler whispered. Those words burned Ethan's heart, because they were the same words he once said to his own principal years ago. Ethan stepped forward. "Tyler, you are not defined by the worst parts of your story. Neither of you are. But running from change doesn't stop it. It only buries you deeper." For the first time, Tyler looked at Ethan without hatred. Just fear. Fear of being left behind. Fear of being alone. Fear of being the villain in everyone's story. Ethan knelt beside him. "You made a mistake, but mistakes don't destroy your future unless you let them." Tyler broke down into tears. Mark sat beside him silently. The two boys, once feared, once inseparable, once violent, now sat like wounded children beneath the moonlight. And Ethan realized something powerful. This wasn't the end of the story. This was the beginning. Because healing doesn't come when the bully is defeated. Healing comes when the bully understands why he became one. And that was Ethan Hale's mission all along. Not to punish, not to break, but to rebuild. Side by side, brick by brick, kid by kid,